Great. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first meeting of the Department of Public Works Facility Committee. My name is Ryan Meridian. I'm the DPW superintendent. Seeing that we have an organization, I figured I'd call this meeting to order and we'll do roll call. And maybe in roll call, you can state your name and then a little bit about yourself, your background, just for anyone who maybe doesn't know yet. And then we can elect some board officers, chairman, vice chairman, and take this meeting away. So, Jack, you want to start?
Sure. I said that I got all this time to think. That's no problem. Jack Chandler, Pineview Road, Sterling, relatively long time Sterling resident, I think close to 50 years. Member of the fire department for a long time in Sterling, past fire chief in West Boylston and in Holden, and now retired and busier than I was when I was working, but look forward to working with this committee to try to figure out what to do with the DPW for the next 20 or 30 years.
Sorry, my voice. I had a cold over the weekend, but Jonathan Marini, like Jack said, he's somewhat long-term resident of Sterling. I've been here about 47 years. A couple of years I left during college and stuff, but I work in the commercial construction industry, so I do a lot of work in public facilities as well as commercial and private facilities.
Mark Gothier, 16 Tanglewood Road. I've been here for about 46 years. I'm on FinCom, Capital Committee, the Fire Committee, and am retired.
David Smith on Ford Road. I serve on the select board in town. My background is basically heavy equipment truck repair. I've been involved with the public works since 2010, running anywhere from equipment mechanic up to highway superintendent.
I'm Blaine Burchard. I've been in Sterling for maybe 8 years, something like that. And I'm the current chair of the DPW. They're represented. To have a construction company in Vermont, 6th largest at the time, and we did a lot of earthwork. A lot of work up there. I am a retired architect and design building. So that's my past experience.
Bill Caldwell, I'm town administrator. Obviously work with the select board, but I've also been involved in Mass Highway and the MMA Policy Committee on Public Works Transportation.
Ryan Meridian, DPW superintendent. I was previously the water and sewer superintendent in Holden. I went through pretty much the entire process of Holden, from building their new building, all the way up to picking up my office furniture, and then didn't move in because I happily came here. So I've been involved in this process before. Looking forward to getting it kicked off here. Just because I've been involved in it does not mean I'm professional at it, so bear with me. We'll go through the proper steps, but looking forward to getting it kicked off.
Paul Girardi, DPW foreman. I've been here 18 years. I've been in the industry for 37, and looking forward to moving on to this project.
So, take nominations and nominate themselves, or
Yeah, pretty much.
all right. So
With any nomination,
be looking for a chairman and a vice chairman. I think would be the best for a 5-member board. That way, if someone's not here, we know who would stand up. Bill, myself, Paul, we're ex officio members, non-voting members. So really, it's 5 that are the members. You guys take it away if anyone's interested.
Don't everybody jump at once.
Really, the chair is, kind of organizing the meetings, keeping things civil, keeping things on the agenda, not letting things waver off the agenda. I guess they would kind of act as a spokesman from time to time if something needed to be said, like a leader of the group. Well,
I would nominate Jack to be chair.
I'll volunteer to be vice chair. Anyone else interested or
I'm on the finance and capital. Finance is a very busy committee.
Okay.
I got 300 emails last year. And capital committee, we're voting twice. So that's my excuse. You know, I want to be a reporter on this committee, you know, just take it in and not try to run it.
Don, any interest?
No, but if I guess if I pull the short straw, I guess I'll do it. No one else.
You want to be the chair?
Sure.
That'll be good. We can change
Shut
it.
That was the formal motion.
All right.
Oh, you wanna, oh, we have to do a motion,
Yep.
make a motion.
What?
Jack's the,
Jonathan.
Jonathan's the chair and Jack's the vice.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Yeah, that's like chair.
All right, John, so at this point, we'll just go through the agenda. Here, public session. I don't know if Joe had anything to say or here for.
No public session? Okay. So we're going right for a tour of the facility or?
Sure, so I have a couple things that just we can go over before we
Yep.
we hop up and pause our meeting. So first of all, you know, thank you guys for volunteering to be on this committee, whether you're from a different board or you're, you know, a citizen volunteer. I think I speak on behalf of the DPW board that we had a really hard time making this committee. We were so impressed with the resumes that we had and the interviews that we had. So we're really excited about this group. What I haven't put in front of you today are just a couple documents that we have so far. One of them is a report from Weston and Sampson. So this report dated March 2022. It really started probably around May of 2021. That was right around the time when the interim superintendent was here, between the full time and then when I got hired in October. And we're not going to go through the whole thing tonight. At the next meeting, my plan is to bring Weston and Sampson in to kind of present on this, their findings, what they've done so far. For those of you that don't know, Weston and Sampson has a division dedicated to public works facility design, which is why the interim superintendent at the time went with them. So a lot of good information in here. There's interviews with staff. It goes through like a space needs study of, okay, here's the square footage needed for each program that's in this building. Here's what's suggested as far as number of vehicles that we have and whatnot. Now, a lot has changed in 2 years, but it's a great foundation and building block for kind of where we are right now. And the other thing I included is a presentation that I did back in April. This was a presentation at the Senior Center for the Dull Men's Club. And it kind of gives a little history lesson on the building as well as provides lots of pictures. So if it's okay with you guys, while we're here, we can kind of go through the history of this building and then we can go walk around and look at everything, if that's okay. So, you know, kind of flipping to the ortho pages. Obviously, we're located here, 171 Worcester Road. We're on a 3.7 acre parcel in this location right here. We're surrounded by DCR on 3 sides and then, or 2 sides, and then the Carini building next door, which has DCR behind it. So we're buffered by DCR on there. And Route 12, which is the state route, runs across the front. That right away, which you'll see in the Weston and Sampson report, covers about half of our parking lot. So even though it looks like we have a big parking lot in the front, most of that's owned by the state. There's not a whole lot we can do in there. So if you look at this page, the initial building that we're in here was built in 1958, and it was simply the blue square that you see there. So it included 4 garage bays and the first floor office space, which we'll look at today. That first floor office space has been renovated. However, you'll see it has the original windows and things like that from when it was built. Once that was built, sometime between 1958 and 1973, I can't quite tell when, there were 2 more garage bays built off to the right, if you're looking at the bays, to the original building. These were built as the mechanics bays. We refer to them as semi-cold storage. It's never all that warm in there. we struggle to kind of keep it warm, but it's not cold. You know, we can park a diesel truck in there in the winter and it'll start right up and the hydraulic fluid will be warm enough to use. We'll go look at all these spaces a little bit. In 1978, a 40 by 98 unheated steel building with one drive-through bay was constructed to the right of those buildings. So this is what we refer to as cold storage. No heat out there. I believe if you talk to some of the people who worked here, the DPW did a good amount of the site work for this one, put in the foundation and whatnot. This part of the building, while very functional, and I'm really happy to have it, is in very tough shape. You'll see the foundation has both horizontal and vertical cracks that you can see from one side to the other through. It definitely is in need of some drastic repairs. And then finally in 2008, the space you're sitting in right now was constructed. So this added 4 additional bays in front of the original 4 bays. When you get down to the garage, it'll be very apparent what's new and what's not. This renovated the existing office spaces and also added the space that you're sitting in right now, which is the second floor conference room, the kitchen, the locker room, which is back there, an elevator to make it ADA accessible. So that's the room you're sitting in right now. I wasn't here, but to my knowledge, this was predominantly built using Chapter 90 funds, which are funds earmarked for transportation, but they can be used on vehicles, buildings that support transportation, things like that. And that's how I believe, infrastructure, how this was built. Finally, if you flip to the back, it kind of shows some of the other things on the site. So we house the town fuel pumps here. We have 2 in-ground storage tanks, both 5,000 gallons, one for gas, one for diesel. They were put in sometime in the 90s. They are getting to the point where they are getting a little bit more difficult to insure, being that they're underground tanks. Most of the new facilities are above ground tanks on something of that size. We have a Quonset hut, which is built in the back. So it's like a half shell. It used to be used to store some sand or some sand salt mix. When we switched to all salt, the salt went in the salt shed. We now can put a couple pieces of equipment out of the rain, out of the bulk of the snow in the Quonset hut. We have the salt shed, which has a lean-to built on the side. Salt shed also in very rough shape. Well undersized, and unfortunately nearing falling down. And a decision is going to need to be made pretty quick on the salt shed and fuel pumps. If this building isn't going to move forward, or a project is going to move forward in the next, 5 to 7 years, what are we going to do with those sites? And you're looking at a large chunk of money there. And then we have the septic system, which is,
Well, we put it in, we constructed, we put the wall. Yeah.
How long ago was you got here, maybe?
I came in 2008, I was about a year and a half or so.
So it's about 14 years old, the septic system at this point. It's a pump system. You'll see it's raised. The pump chamber is off the front door, and then it pumps across the parking lot over to the septic system. I don't think we need to go through the pictures because we can go look at it in person. Does anyone have any questions on the history? All right, so we're back. Anyone have anything?
Fine. Yeah, so next item, just discuss the goals of the committee.
Sure, so I provided you with,
Should be the last page in your.
yep, a single page. This is something that Bill and I kind of stole from another town. We're not, locked in on this, but a little bit of
Charge.
kind of a guide. If anyone wants to add anything to it, or anyone has any thoughts on this, or what goals should be, more than open to discussion, of course.
This looks good to me.
Yeah, I think it looks good, but I think it's important so that this group, that group, the selectmen and the townspeople all know what we're trying to do. Because I've seen committees go off like this and, they make a presentation to the board and selectmen, they go, this isn't what we asked you to do. So now we're all on the same page. I think that's good.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. The only thing, as I read it, I get a lot of questions about renovating. Well, have you looked at renovating? Are you thinking about renovating? And I always tell people, I haven't put any options off the table at this point because we're so early in the process. I didn't know if we wanted to add a piece of that, a plan to build or renovate. I don't know, just throwing it out there. It's a question I get. I got it frequently when I did this presentation.
Develop a plan to meet the long-term needs. I think that could both be both.
Whatever feasibility
Yeah.
study, you're going to look at different sites,
Yeah.
you're going to look at different options.
But I think the town's gonna probably want to see some renovation scheme. I mean, walking
Yeah.
through, I don't think there's an option, but I think we should have to go through the motions.
Yeah,
I think
Look
it
at it.
might be reasonable though, to have, short-term, low-cost fixes that could help. Like plexiglass inserts for the windows downstairs or something like that. I mean, not huge money thing, but something that would actually help comfort.
So would that fall under us or would that fall under your
I think
maintenance
that
and-
would fall under you guys.
Okay.
So that-
I think. I mean, obviously, we're gonna keep making.
Yeah,
We're gonna fix things as they break, and we're gonna improve things as we see fit within reason. But we're not gonna make any big swinging capital purchases or capital improvements to the building. Speaking of which, the building desperately needs a roof. So the nails are all popping straight up through the rubber membrane, and we're up there, or Mark Bruno's up there frequently catching them. But we're not gonna make any of those big swinging capital requests without, I would say, without talking to you guys as the facility committee. You know what I mean? I think that's.
But I think things like the roof, I mean, you can ask this committee like for input.
Right.
But I don't think we're gonna go up and inspect the roof and
Nope.
say, you need a new roof.
Right.
I think our focus needs to be down the road.
Okay.
And certainly if there's Band-Aids you need in between, we can help support it.
So I think that's kind of what we'll do Band-Aids, but if it was a $75,000 to $100,000 new roof, I think I'd want to have that discussion here and say, okay, where are we at? By the way, we're about to do this. How do you want to sell it? How do you want to, you know what I mean? But I agree. Chief,
Yeah, sounds
plenty of
good.
Band-Aids.
any other comments or?
Yeah, does the entire facility need a new roof?
I think it's mostly the 08 section, which also bridges to the original section, with the bulk of the building, not necessarily the semi-cold and the cold. Those are just the metal. Anywhere is rubber.
2008.
But the
Didn't even last.
nails aren't staying down.
Yeah,
The nails are coming right up through the foam, so they're piercing the rubber. And then,
that's not gonna be achieved. So the fix is on the roof, not the roof.
And then you open it up and find out whatever.
Yeah, whatever else.
Yeah, you don't wanna open up
Yeah.
a can of worms, so.
So I think the next item is setting up future meetings and kind of an ongoing meeting schedule.
Yep.
When does the DPW meeting usually
we meet
happen?
the second Tuesday of the month.
Okay, so it's monthly.
Yes,
We typically meet at 7.
Yeah.
So.
but I wouldn't want to meet the same
No.
night. I wouldn't
No.
want to do 2 meetings the same night. So I like the 6 o'clock. If you guys do, it worked really well.
What days do you do?
We do Tuesdays for the DPW board.
First and third or?
So first and third, I'm tied up for another meeting. Second, I'm tied up here for the DPW board. So for me, Tuesdays are difficult.
Yeah.
Wednesdays are probably my best days.
But every other Wednesday, we're tied up.
The select board. Is it every other or is it first?
Every other. So it's never consistent.
You wanna try to do it just the opposite of that schedule then? You could just write off your Wednesdays for.
Fraternity. I was supposed to be in her monologue.
Well, in the beginning here, do we think once a month is fine until we get something going, or?
I mean, that's kind of up to you guys. I think that I mean, really for our steps, we're gonna have to. I feel like start talking about sites, right? And then at some point go through like an RFP process for someone to help us with this, right?
Correct.
We're not gonna put pen to paper and design the building. We need to hire someone to do that. And that would be like a designer selection process with not gonna help us with.
Yeah.
That's kind of his wheelhouse.
So is that like a feasibility study first though? Or is this, this
We
considered the
actually
feasibility?
Funds
Okay,
to do some of that stuff. We have about $62,000 earmarked right now. That money in my brain was earmarked to move this feasibility study forward and do some minor geotechnical borings and stuff on a site
Yeah.
so that we at least had some of that stuff in the back of our head. So I think the first charge would be kind of seeing where we wanted to go with that. And I feel like the next logical step would be to meet with Weston and Sampson on what they've done, see if we want to have them continue with that, or if we want to move on already to a
Yep.
designer selection. That's what I see our next steps as being. So, I mean, for me, selfishly, once a month is better, but I know it slows things down. But that's just me. My schedule is kind of hectic. But I mean, like I'm available the 16th of October. I am available the 2nd as well, if needed. That's kind of up to you guys how often you want.
I feel like once a month is fine for now, and then
Yeah.
until we get some sort of a momentum and there's even a report to, or the next stage of the design, maybe it's a little more. Maybe it's every other week at that point.
We meet 9 and 23. Yeah, it's 9.
16th seems to be the
16th?
next logical day.
We can just go meeting to meeting and
I'm
select.
fine with
Yeah,
that.
is that fine with everyone?
Because their schedules change constantly, so. And we'll plan on 6 o'clock, and I will do everything in my power to get Weston and Sampson here to put together a presentation on what is in this document.
Yeah, so if they can't make it that day,
Yeah,
maybe we can adjust.
okay, I'll see what they can do.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. 6 PM work for everybody?
I would think after that next meeting, we probably want to see additional sites, and those would have to be obviously earlier in the day.
Yeah, we can take a ride. Yeah, it's gonna get darker.
Yeah.
That's no problem at all.
Okay.
No problem. We can meet during the day. One.
Did I ask how many would be available during the day in general?
As far as sites,
No, as far as meetings.
what do you mean? How
In other words,
Availability.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That
I
would
would
be
be
your,
available. As long as I can plan, I would be available.
I'm just wondering if it has to be at 6 o'clock at night or.
Don, I guess.
Johnny,
I-
full time.
Mine would probably be yeah, I mean, I could probably make it 4:30 the earliest probably on a regular
No,
occasion.
we don't want you rushing back. I just didn't know how free you thought.
I mean, I think we could, if there's certain days we want to do earlier, I could probably do earlier, but I usually drive back to Boston or Waltham, so.
Yeah.
Not working from home.
No. Every once in a while.
Thought I'd ask.
Any other items?
So just thinking out loud, what our next steps are to, or and maybe this also goes in, helps put together the agenda for the next meeting, but talk about sites, and see, I mean, I don't know if anyone's looked at other sites other than call it the police station
That's
site.
really the only site that we've looked at.
You know, we could probably brainstorm a little bit about other potential sites just to say that we've looked at stuff and
Right.
see if there is
Now,
anything.
land is
Yeah.
probably size-wise, nothing that beats that. That's not landlocked or something. Privately owned, that's something we definitely have to look at separately.
And what acreage would you say we're looking for?
I think that'd be a better question for Weston and Sampson
Okay.
based on their
And they did,
schematic,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So as far as square footage and acreage, the back of this report has schematics in it. or some concepts, I guess, if you will. And you can kind of see how it would fit on the existing site and then how it might fit down at the sand pit site. Really, it's about, being able to open your elbows versus the site. And I just want to point out that the ones that are on the existing site don't show the septic and don't show any stormwater.
Or temporary facilities for you for 2
temporary
years.
Facilities for function, so.
Or
2 years, during construction, yeah.
It's
No, just
over.
something to think
Yeah,
about.
yeah. It would be a huge
Yeah.
cost.
I think it would be really important to have the engineers did this report here at the next meeting.
Yes.
That'll give us a foundation.
Yep.
on which to work.
Gentleman's name is Mike Richard. Does a nice job. I've worked, like I said, I did Holden's building with Weston and Sampson. One of the things we'll do in the future is we'll tour some facilities as we start getting to the design. There's a large number of them around. I know that when we did it, we went to Franklin, Weston, Chelmsford. There was a bunch of different ones. Now we can go to Holden. There's a lot of different facilities around. It's starting to pop up, kind of like a lot of fire stations got built back in the 2000s, now we're starting to see the DPWs get built.
Were you able to set those up for a Saturday or Sunday? During the
usually
day
it's
so we
during
can
the
see it.
day.
Yeah.
So maybe not a weekend because then they have to bring someone in on overtime, but it'd be a during the day kind of deal. So John, we can try to coordinate that.
Yeah, I can figure that out.
Over there or whatever. I know that when we did it in Holden, it was during the day. We kind of buzzed around for a whole day, carpet around. So it's a fun day. You get to it's really eye-opening. Everyone's a little bit different.
Has there been any discussion about what else we might be able to do with this lot if we move? Would it be a commercial lot? Could it be anything? It would make selling a new lot easier if we could say, and by the way, we're going to put a big Y here, or a giant Dunkin' Donuts or a Cumberland Farm.
Yeah, I haven't put much thought into that at this point. I think it's a good idea. I think honestly, building the demo of this building into a package is a good idea, and making this a pad-ready site for whatever was to come in the future, whether it's a town facility or whether it's sold as commercial, or on the Route 12 border here. It's not like we're at the level of the Sterling Inn where, I guess maybe we are, but we can work into that, having that be pad ready is a pretty good selling. Get the tanks out,
Yep.
Get the building out, right, clean the site, and then
Something to
you could cost
think
benefit
about.
analysis, how that would.
And start talking about if Pandolfs or, anyone's looking for space. There's a lot of empty space on Route 12, although
A lot of its own
landscape companies seem to be popping up all over the place.
Yeah.
But this is a pretty good sized lot.
A lot of empty space you see on 12 is all little tiny parcels. So there's not a lot of like big space. So as you get down, say from here, from Green's building to School Street, there's like 7 or 8 different property owners in that piece. Now, a lot of it's very wet as well back there, but it's not like it's owned by one developer or whatnot. So that makes it challenging to develop.
And those two are the biggest.
And those two are correct. Yeah. And of course, you have some environmental wetland type impacts in this site. Something to be sensitive to, not unreasonable.
If they did something with the property, could the septic just stay where it is? And is that something that they?
It's a Board of Health question, I think, and anyone who came in might want to, if they were to regrade, they would probably fix, but I think they'd have to middle file it. Board of Health.
That'd be a huge thing. for
Yeah,
somebody. If they said, listen, you can still use it, it's good,
Right. That's true.
And how important to the DPW is it being kind of centrally located? I think this is more central than behind the police station.
It is and it isn't. I often say, I remember when they built that police station, I was like, why is it all the way out there? It takes me like 2.5 minutes to get from here to there. It's not, it's right down Route 12. It's not a bad place. It's a great place, I think, to pull out with trucks. Having the roundabout right there is nice. It isn't that much further off the beaten path.
And we have trucks that are over towards the Pratt's area and flanking, they have to come all the way back here, so we'll ride a little bit more that way, it would be,
Not bad.
it would be a big impact.
What would you, think would be the main entrance for the DPW? Would you make a new entrance or
No, I think
go
it'd be George
through
Pizzo.
George Pizzo
Yeah.
and go up that way?
Yeah, that makes logical sense to me. Yeah, nice wide road, you know, you can repave it. It's in crack seal, it's decent shape. That would make sense to me. Cause then you can go left or right from George Pizzo, where I wouldn't wanna be like the police shoot across Route 12 through that median.
Yeah.
Speeds are a little bit higher there. George Pizzo, most people are slowing down. We're 90% of the time gonna be going right out of George Pizzo.
There's some wetlands in the back over there.
There are, yep, there's the pond, but we have a lot more space as well.
Any issues with the old landfill?
So the old landfill is, this wouldn't actually be built on top of it, it would be built down. I've seen no leaching, we're beyond monitoring at this point. I've seen no issues with that landfill, it's capped, we mow it a couple times a year, the RC planes take off from the top of it. But I've seen no issues with it, we've had no odor down there or anything like that. I don't think so.
Okay, the acreage existing.
Good question, I don't have that answer.
I think it was in here.
You can get in here.
Yeah, in the west, the other Weston Sampson. What is that?
The acreage down there.
Yeah. Thought I saw that.
It might be, but some of it is the pond, so it's part of the pond, I believe.
Is that 129 Lemonster Road?
Might be.
Is that 129 Lemonster?
Yeah,
Got 12.4 acres.
okay. Yeah, so about 4 times the size. And you can see by the schematics, they took the same building,
Yeah,
just put it over there and it takes up a third of the parcel versus the entire parcel. And, you know, we use that site daily. We bring all our material there, we screen material there, we do our brush and leaf composting there. It is used on a daily basis by us. So we're down there every day.
So there would really be a cost effectiveness of having the operation.
The fuel station goes with this project, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Unless another building wants to take it on, but I don't know where we put it. It would have to be built in.
You guys are probably the biggest fuel user by
Yeah,
like three or four
definitely
times.
diesel. The police use a lot more unleaded, just in the nature of what they do, but, yeah, we're the biggest, you know, like I said, police and ambulance, you know, use a good amount of diesel, light department uses a good amount of diesel, but we're the highest. It fluctuates with the seasons too, for sure. We use a lot of diesel.
Is there any advantage of being near the state highway building down there on Johnson?
Could be, I mean, not necessarily an advantage where that kind of goes back to, is it matter being further away? We're so close to them as we are now. We've kind of started the talks of maybe getting some brine from them. They have a new brine maker down there for road treatment, but again, being right behind them wouldn't really, it's 6 to 1 half dozen where we are. We have a good relationship with them now. We will continue our good relationship.
And then 12 acres is town owned and landfill is town.
Yes. Technically a mine. I don't know if that matters. We'd have to look at. I fill out paperwork every year. We don't mine anything out of it anymore. They used to dig all the sand out.
And that's in the aquifer zone. I mean, I think most of the town is, but is that
No, I think the aquifer zone, you guys might know better. It kind of goes through Onyx.
It's more on the Onyx Neola side. But
Yeah.
on the
going that way?
north of Neola's on the other side of
I
that
think
Laurelwood is not part of it, so.
kisses.
Maybe it gets.
I think it
I don't think
should
it's
have,
all in it.
Was that a dumping ground ever? I don't remember ever going back to the dump, but
It was where they mine sand
it
out.
was just all sand pit. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we store our logs and trees and
Yeah.
stuff, they get ground up and hauled out, you know, it's kind of like a transfer station for our material at this point. There's a bunch of asphalt, concrete, old structures and, you know, stuff kind of in various piles. We'll tour it at some point. But pretty open, it'd be an easy earthwork site.
Yeah.
There is talk about some ledge down there.
Okay.
So
The geotech stuff.
where the guys, use the screen and then brought it up and see it. They used to talk about it. Where it is, I'm not quite sure, but that might be something. Probably of interest.
It also would not be a hard site to bring up either because it's so low. It's in a low lying area, there's plenty of material
Yeah, I
there.
was just gonna say.
Mountains.
Level it off.
What's that?
You just level it off.
Sure. Bring in a couple big
Bring it up.
gates. Flatten the thing right.
They were gonna use that
Yeah.
area.
Absolutely. That we don't necessarily need.
Any other comments or ready to adjourn?
So we're looking at the 16th.
16 o'clock
6
PM.
o'clock.
I'll be in touch with you guys.
So we have kind of looking at sites, Weston and Sampson, assuming they can get out here. We have a major agenda items.
Start with that. Once the Sampson presentation will probably take a solid hour.
Just one other thing, when I looked in here at what you expect for growth, and it didn't say whether that was 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years, but it didn't show a whole lot.
So
Yeah. Is that, I guess the question would be, what, how far out are you looking, and is it accurate? I mean,
I'll be perfectly honest. I didn't participate in any of this study, and I would like to. I think now that I've been here for a couple of years and understand the process, this was all done under the interim. So some of those things we would want to tweak before we really put a program in place. I personally haven't put a ton into this without having this committee. I think that the committee is one of the most important parts for any building like this. I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on a pipe dream and not have the committee behind it to support it from the town. So some of that would change. I'd like my own chance to answer some of the interview questions that they asked and whatnot. You'll see too that there's a whole subset in here about bringing the facilities down here. Right now they're in the basement of the town hall. Something to talk about. I don't know if that really is necessary or what happened or whatnot. Now the facilities is in a co-op with West Boylston, so they might not need that space as much as maybe they did before. But there's definitely some things in this report that are, I'll call it outdated. However, it's a great start for, most committees. I think that would start wouldn't have anything even like this, and this would be their first step. So having that part done is.
so we should talk about that, like either the next meeting or the one after.
Yes.
Because if we get too far down the road, all of a sudden people are going to go, why are you making it bigger? It's like,
So I'll commit to going through this a little bit closer with a fine tooth comb and kind of changing some of the stuff that I think should be changed. And then, because I can eventually see us with some kind of town engineer or assistant superintendent. That's a goal of mine for the future, and as of right now, I have no place to put an employee like that, an office and project manager, I think that's that engineer, something like that. I have nowhere to put that. I have nowhere to put another computer.
we can look at now.
Yep.
Which will really be, maybe if we're really good 3 or 4 years from now, and then 10 years and 20 years, we'll
Right.
see. So
Okay.
we can hopefully build it so it's not obsolete the day we open it.
Yep. I like that. Really, the big thing with that is the fleet. With the what pieces do we expect to add? If any, or are we content, or, to me, it makes sense to leave one extra parking space for that inevitable piece of equipment that's gonna come, at some point in the next 20 years versus building or pulling out the 4 parking spaces and shoving 4 pieces outside, and then when you add one, you have nowhere to put it. That just doesn't make sense to me.
One of the question I had actually self-perform. What you guys self-perform a lot of projects yourself?
We self-perform just about everything except for road paving.
Okay.
And what I would call production pipe. So we're not gonna do a mile of water main.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna pave a road, but everything that has to do with that, any sort of small culvert jobs, things like that. And Joe's probably laughing because we just did 700 feet of pipe in front of his house. We had a company do it because that's production pipe, in my opinion. It took them a week. It would have taken us 6. You know what I mean?
Is there something more you would do if you had the facilities and the
I
people for
don't
it?
think so,
No?
because unfortunately, in the public works, we always are getting pulled away to do 10 other things. So, for example, next week, we have the whole week blocked off for that 4-foot culvert job. It's gonna be a challenging week because we're gonna have an entire crew down committed to one site, and since March, we've had 300 plus work orders come in through this building. So all those work orders need to be tended to, a dead animal, a pothole, a tree branch, and we don't have the staff to have a full 2 trucks, 2 excavators, a loader working on that kind of stuff, nor do we have the equipment. I mean, we'd be looking at millions of dollars of equipment to add to be able to do that kind of production pipe. Pretty much an entire construction crew. To me, you have efficiencies in hiring someone to do that kind of work and just getting the job done. Paving, certainly not. Those guys are professionals. It just makes sense. The amount of equipment we would have to purchase was crazy. We've really done a lot more of our in-house work. Adding an excavator was a game changer for us. We've been able to do a lot more work in what I would call better quality work in the last, 3 to 5 years than previous. But I think that, where we're at staff-wise, we're in a pretty good niche. We have 4 or 5 guys that focus on DPW, like highway stuff. We have 3 guys that focus on water. We have, 2 or 3 guys that focus on grounds, and then 2 mechanics. So while it might seem like we have a lot of staff, it's small groups. And, even when we do a bigger project, we're pulling from different groups to kind of help us with shorthands another group. It's the nature of DPW. It works, but we're not, structured for the production type work.
I can attest to that, the amount of equipment. That
Oh, yeah, yeah.
brought in,
Yes. Yes.
the amount of dollars associated. But they got it done quick.
Yeah. In and out. Now we can pay.
Well set. Can we motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, hold on, let me stop.